Lançamento de roteadores no espaço.
Hello from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. My name is
Roteadores.
and I'm a lead manufacturing engineer here at SpaceX.
Função dos satélites, internet no mundo todo.
Starlink mission and our 10th mission this year. It's been just 10 days since our last Starlink launch, which was also from Pad 40. For those keeping track, that's a SpaceX record for the fastest pad turnaround. From launch to launch, we're looking at a remarkable 9 days, 7 hours, and 56 minutes. To date, we've launched over 480 Starlink satellites to orbit. And as a reminder, Starlink is a constellation of satellites that can provide high-speed, low-latency internet all over the globe, particularly in remote or rural areas where connectivity is limited or completely unavailable. And we have another notable first to mention. Today's mission marks our first small-sat rideshare mission on a Starlink launch. Our customer, Planet, who is the operator of the largest constellation of Earth observation satellites, is sending up 3 high-resolution satellites on this mission. These 3 SkySats will be joining 15 already in orbit. 3 more will be deploying on a separate Starlink mission later this summer.
Toma uma coca gelada atrás.
What's really quite remarkable is the contract for the rideshare was signed just 6 months ago. As part of our new rideshare program, we're offering sun-synchronous orbit missions approximately 3 times a year and have a frequent launch opportunities to mid-inclination. For details or to reserve your spot, head over to our website, spacex.com/.
Aquela fumaça é hidrogênio.
In order to make room for Planet's 3 SkySats, instead of launching 60 Starlink satellites, as we've traditionally
Para resfriar o foguete.
today we'll be sending 58 into low Earth orbit. Planet's SkySats will deploy in 3 sequential maneuvers beginning at about 12 minutes after liftoff, and the Starlink satellites will deploy approximately 14 minutes later, or 26 minutes after liftoff. And we won't see the Starlink satellites deploy today since we will not have ground station coverage at that time. However, we will keep the webcast going until we reconnect with the satellites at about T+39 minutes to get confirmation of a successful deployment. So we're at T-8 minutes and 10 seconds and counting, and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff this morning. If for any reason there's a hold on the countdown today, we do have a backup launch window opportunity tomorrow at 4:59 a.m. Eastern.
On your screen is Falcon 9. This is our 2-stage liquid fuel launch vehicle, getting ready for launch from Space Launch Complex 40, or SLIC 40. Falcon 9 stands 70 meters tall, which is greater than the wingspan of a 747 aircraft. Today's flight will be the 3rd flight for this booster. Previously supported our most recent cargo Dragon CRS-19 and CRS-20. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage, and if you look closely, you can see the soot markings still on the vehicle from its previous 2 flights. The first stage has 9 Merlin engines that do the bulk of the work to get Falcon 9 off the ground and up into the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere before separating from second stage and making its way back down to Earth for landing. Today we will be attempting to recover this first stage for the 3rd time on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which you can see there on your screen is out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, about 350 nautical miles northeast of our Cape Canaveral, Florida launch site. On top of the first stage is the interstage, which is that black segment of the vehicle. And the reason it's black compared to the rest of the vehicle is because it is unpainted TPS, or thermal protective system, which protects the composite material that the interstage is made of. The interstage is what connects the stage 1 to stage 2, and as well protects the second stage's single Merlin vacuum engine during launch. That Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine ignites after the first stage separates, propelling the second stage along with the SkySats and Starlink satellites into an elliptical orbit above the Earth's surface. From there, the SkySat rideshare satellites will separate, and about 14 minutes later, the 58 SpaceX Starlink satellites will deploy.
Lá em Porto Alegre, os
Falcon
retardados
9 has been loading
vê esses
propellant
satélites
since
passando no espaço
35
ali.
minutes, and as a
Disco
reminder, Falcon 9
voador.
uses rocket
É um
grade
trem
kerosene
voador.
or RP1 as our
É um
fuel,
disco
and
voador,
super chilled
atrás
liquid
do outro.
oxygen or LOX as our oxidizer.
Pelo amor de Deus.
Currently, RP1 and LOX are nearly fully loaded on both stages, and LOX will continue to be topped off right until the last minute of the countdown. The stack of 58 Starlink satellites and 3 SkySats are safely enclosed inside of that 17-foot diameter payload fairing that you can see on your screen, which is that structure at the very top of the rocket. This protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we no longer need them, and we will jettison the fairing halves while the second stage continues to orbit. The fairing halves we are using today flew on previous but separate missions. One half flew on JC-Sat 18 in December of 2019, and the other half flew on our first Starlink launch in January earlier this year. Now, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today using our recovery ships Mystery and Mischief. There you can see them on your screen. At approximately T plus 40 minutes, the team will perform a poll to confirm if we're all good to make a safe catch attempt. Weather plays a big factor in the go-no-go decision for the catch attempt, as it can impact not only the sea states for the boats, but also the fairing's altitude, position, and speed, which impact how the fairing will fall back to Earth. Now, we've been keeping an eye out on some thick layer clouds for this morning's launch, but currently weather is looking good for T0. The vehicle, satellites, weather, and range are all looking good for an on-time liftoff, just about 3 minutes and 45 seconds from now. For those of you that don't know much about the Starlink program, our mission is to bring high-speed, low-latency internet to people all over Earth. And every one of these Starlink missions gets us closer to achieving that goal. Some of the most exciting opportunities for Starlink are locations where traditional fiber or cable is simply not practical, such as rural or remote communities. It's also an exciting place for where fiber and cable are impossible, such as aircrafts or cruise ships. This is a big endeavor, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it gets us closer to these missions. On our last Starlink mission just over a week ago, we captured some really cool footage of fairing deploy, which we wanted to share with you today. And there you can see on your screen the fairing deploy. You can see the second stage clearly with the Starlink satellites making their way to their targeted orbit. One of my favorite videos that I've seen so far. If you're interested in getting future news about Starlink, about our Starlink service, head over to starlink.com and sign up for updates. We're currently at T-minus 2.5 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Super chilled liquid oxygen, which, as I mentioned earlier, is our propellant oxidizer. And that's what's creating those white clouds around Falcon 9 that you see on your screen there, and that's when it gets exposed to the warmer ambient air. First stage finished prop loading at T-minus 3 minutes, and second stage at T-minus 2 minutes. And coming up at T-minus 60 seconds, there will be a call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Then at about T-minus 2 seconds, the Merlin engines will light and liftoff will be commanded at T0. The Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking good, and the range is green for launch. As I mentioned, we are at T-minus 1 minute and about 15 seconds here. So at T-minus 1 minute, we will hear that call out for Falcon 9 being in startup. And from then on, the vehicle will basically autonomously make the decision if we will be launching today.
Falcon 9's in startup.
And there's that confirmation that Falcon 9 is in startup. Next up, at T-minus 45 seconds, we should hear the call out for a go for launch.
Não é tripulado, só tem satélite dentro.
And there's that call out for go for launch.
Passar o mouse ali. Isso aqui é uma
So as we're
coisa.
approaching T0, it is T-minus
se divide em
35
dois, se abre
seconds.
assim.
Let's watch and listen
Os
into the
satélites
nets and watch
estão
this
ali dentro.
liftoff of
A
our
partir de um momento eles vão saindo, como se
Starlink
eles estivessem
payload
presos num
with our
dedo.
planet's
E aí vai
SkySats.
soltando. Tu já está numa velocidade constante e vai soltando, e vai soltando, e vai soltando. Até o último.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Vai
5,
lançar.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of Falcon 9 and Starlink 8.
No canto esquerdo é a velocidade, no direito ali do ladinho já é a altura. Um quilômetro de altura ele já está a mais de 300 km por hora. 2 km 500, não chegou a duplicar.
It's T plus 40 seconds into
Tá
flight and
mantendo a
Falcon
taxa
9 has
de
just had a
aceleração.
successful liftoff.
Telemetry are nominal.
A successful liftoff from pad 40 for its first Starlink rideshare,
10
carrying 3
quilômetros.
Planet SkySats and our SpaceX Starlink satellites. Next coming up will be Max Q, and that is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle sees, the largest structural load that the vehicle sees throughout ascent.
E 1500,
Max Q.
15 km.
And there's that call out that we
10
just
km.
passed through Max Q.
Isso.
Next up will be 3 events happening back to back, and that will be MECO, or main engine cutoff, stage separation, as well as second engine start, or SES1. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is when all 9 of the M1D engines shut off and slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event, which is stage separation.
Esse
And stage
foguete indo
separation
pro
is where the
espaço
first
dá
stage
vontade
separates
de
from the
dizer,
second stage,
me
with first
leva.
stage making its way back to Earth and second stage taking our satellites to their targeted orbit. And
Apesar
then
de todo o
finally
conhecimento que a gente tem, é
will
incrível
be
como a gente vê o
SES1, which is
foguete
second engine start
inclinar
with
para
that
lado
MVAC engine lighting up and
com
taking
ângulo
those
desse jeito.
Following a nominal trajectory.
Na verdade
taking
ele
those
está indo
satellites
reto.
to orbit.
Aquilo ali é por causa da curvatura do
Those
planeta.
3 events are coming up here in about 15 seconds. Again,
como
that
o
is
efeito
MECO,
óptico
stage separation, and SES1.
Engana a gente.
Stage separation
Aí
confirmed.
vai soltar a primeira parte dele. E já vai dar a ignição.
And there, as you saw
Aquela
live on
parte
your
que se
screen,
soltou, ela vai
MECO,
voltar,
main
vai
engine
descer para a
cutoff,
terra
and
e vai
stage
ser
separation.
reutilizado.
First stage being on your left
Já
screen,
está
on your
abrindo
right
os
screen is
flags
second
dela
stage
ali.
with that MVAC engine
Ali na
glowing
esquerda.
bright red there.
Aquilo ali é o que
On your
vai
left screen, you
controlar
can see those
onde que ela
grid
vai
fins
descer.
deploying on the
Pode
first
parecer
stage.
pouca
Those
coisa
grid
para um
fins help
foguete
Fairing
daquele
separation
tamanho.
confirmed.
À esquerda
And we just
é os
had
flags,
fairing
à direita a coifa
separation. We
acabou
had
de abrir.
a successful deployment
Ali
of
os
those
satélites
fairing
que
halves.
serão
We'll see
liberados.
if Miss Tree and Miss Chief can make a
A
catch
partir do
attempt
Vehicle
today.
momento que já
continues to
chegar
follow a
numa
nominal trajectory.
determinada altitude, já vão
And as
começar
I
a
was
soltar ela.
mentioning, the grid fins have deployed. That helps guide that first stage back to its landing zone.
Aquela parte ali que tá ficando incandescente, mais ou menos, Deixa eu ver onde é que eu tô.
Acquisition
Da
of
direita
Bermuda.
ali. E assim como ele sofre uma violenta caloria,
Stage 2 is still
tem a
looking
parte
good.
externa também,
We're
que
getting
ali
a
é muito
nice
frio,
bright
né?
view of first stage
Precisa de
on your
bastante
left
energia para
screen.
continuar queimando
And coming
combustível,
up next for first stage, as it
gerando
makes its
impulso, né?
way back to Earth, it will perform a couple of burns, the first of which will be the entry burn. And that entry burn is where 3 of the 9 Merlin 1D engines light up and slow the stage down as it re-enters back into the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is called the landing burn, and this is when the single engine on the vehicle, the E9 engine, ignites and brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. And again, we are attempting to land on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, today. We're getting a nice bright view. I believe that is the sun hitting that first stage on your left screen there. So really, really cool view of that.
11.000 km/h. Se estivesse em Novo Hamburgo, já tinha sido multado e perdido a carteira.
At T plus 5.5 minutes, we're just about a minute and 15 seconds or so away from that entry burn beginning on that first stage.
Vehicle continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
There's that call out that the second stage vehicle is still on a good trajectory. And again, that first stage is making its way back to our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You.
Vai assistir até pousar.
With the entry burn coming up here in about 30 seconds or so.
É coisa rápida, em 12 minutos, 15 ele já deve estar no chão.
Again, if you're just now joining us, what you can see on your left screen is first stage with those grid fins deployed, guiding the vehicle back to its landing zone.
Stage 1 FTS is safe.
Stage 1 entry burn has started.
Pelo
And
fogo
there
já
you
deve
can
estar chegando
see
na
that
balsa.
the entry burn has begun.
À
It's
esquerda.
lighting up that screen pretty bright there. The entry burn will last about 20 seconds
Deve
long.
estar entrando na atmosfera de volta. Pelo tamanho do fogo e... Não, ele está
And that
muito longe
completes the
ainda.
entry burn for first stage. We have a really
Ele tá no
cool
espaço
view
ainda.
of Earth in the background of
Ali era a
first stage. That
fumaça
is
dele
an
mesmo,
awesome
para
view.
controlar a velocidade, eu acho.
Stage 2 is still looking good. We're just about a minute away from that landing burn.
First stage from the case.
Essa é a balsa que ele vai pousar.
And we did hear that call out that we did lose that live signal of
Soltar
the
os
first stage
satélites
as
não tem muita
expected.
graça, mas...
Coming up here in at about T plus 8 minutes and 21 seconds will be the beginning of the landing burn. Landing burn will last about 20 seconds long, and then hopefully we'll get to see first stage touch down on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You.
Stage 1 is transonic.
And about 10 seconds after landing of the first stage will be SECO 1 on second stage. So we will have a couple events happening very close to each other. So we'll listen in and wait for those call-outs.
Foi lançado, em menos de 10 minutos já está voltando, num lugar muito mais longe, como
Stage
no
1
cabo
landing
que
burn
eles
started.
lançam,
And that landing burn has begun on the first stage.
perto
Again,
da
this will
água.
last about 20 seconds long. Let's wait and watch to see if we can land this booster
Stage
for
2
a third
FTS
time.
is safe.
Logo que ele é lançado, ele já está andando pelo
Stage
mar,
1 landing legs have
ele
deployed.
já está chegando, ó. Controla pelos
Wow, and we
flags.
got a live awesome view
And stage 1 is
touchdown.
landed. Landing
Parece que fica
operators proceed to
muito destruído a hora
11.100
que
on
chega,
recovery 1
muito
and
queimado.
VCS 9.
And there you heard that call out, and you can see on your left screen that
Tem
stage 1
alguns
has landed on,
determinados
of course, I Still
materiais que
Love
quanto
You.
mais temperatura pega, mais rígido ele fica. Então
We
ele
are
deve ter
waiting
um
for
tempo de
stage
vida
2 for
útil bem
Synchro
grande.
1, which is second engine cutoff.
Deve ser esse tipo de
An
material.
awesome view of that first stage.
Antigamente os materiais
Nominal
eram mais
orbital insertion.
descartáveis.
Alright, starting
Naqueles
TX
ônibus
Prime
espaciais
R1A on.
faziam um
We did
lançamento com
confirm
aquele
SICO
tanque
and
vermelho.
confirmed good
Aquilo
orbit.
se perdia, porque
So
era
now that second
praticamente
stage is going
descartável
to
aquele
coast in
material
this
que
orbit
usava.
for a few minutes. We're going to take
Agora,
a
uma
quick
empresa
break and
privada
return back at T plus 11
investe
minutes
num
and 30
material
seconds for the
melhor
deployment of Planet's
para
3
poder usar mais
SkySats.
algumas vezes. Pois é. E aí eles vão daí soltar os satélites agora. Sensação de estar no espaço, dizem que é como se tu estivesse descendo de uma montanha russa. Vai o primeiro satélite. Será que é um Asa América? Gatonete para nós? Não, é roteador. Eles vão lançar milhares desses satélites pelo espaço. Fez o lançamento em menos de 10 minutos, mais ou menos, já estava na Terra, a primeira parte dela.
Welcome back to the webcast for Starlink. So far this morning, we had an on-time liftoff of our Falcon 9 vehicle, a good stage separation with first stage making its way and touching down on, of course, I Still Love You, which is the third landing for this booster. And second stage is still looking good. It is coasting and getting ready to deploy Planet's 3 SkySats. And as a reminder, today marks our first Starlink rideshare mission for our customer Planet. And it's worth mentioning that we may not actually see the deployment of these due to their placement on top of the Starlink stack, where we don't have
Gente, já é
cameras
8h20,
positioned.
eu nem dormi ainda.
So we may have to
Vou
rely
fechar
on
aqui.
confirmation over
Eu
the
vou me
nets.
sumir.
So you can see on your screen, this is the view of the Starlink satellites and the